Yo, it's the King. Welcome back to another video. If you didn't get a chance to check out part 1, please do so now before continuing. Without any further ado, let's get into it. After making a new friend, Wally proceeds to have Eve delivered to the ship's bridge, where Otto, the ship's autopilot, gives her an inspection. It's later revealed that Otto planned to sabotage the plant, and I'll get into that shortly, with a brief scene where the captain is disappointed that Eve came back with a false positive, at least to his knowledge. Eve and Wally are sent down to the repair ward because he believes she's defective. Thinking Eve is in danger, Wally, her valiant knight, jumps to her aid, but alas makes them fugitives, or more accurately, road robots. So the chase begins with Eve and Wally escaping capture with a not so happy Eve. Eve attempts to send Wally back to Earth for his own safety, but Wally refuses, and amidst their back and forth, we then get to see what happened to the plant Eve was carrying. It turns out that Otto planned to have the pod self-destruct with the plant inside, and Wally, being the gentleman he is, goes to retrieve it. The only problem is he's sent off in the pod. It's here that you see Eve is in complete desperation, trying her absolute hardest to save Wally, who could very well be her only friend. Eve, a robot obsessed with fulfilling her responsibilities, and until recently was all she cared for. Now in utter disbelief as she witnessed her friend's death, you can clearly see the emotions she's feeling. Loss, grief, worry, all of these quote-unquote human emotions are being displayed by what should only be a machine, a robot incapable of having such emotions. Albeit brief and Wally not actually dying, this is one of the many examples that they're more than machines, and I can't help but appreciate the level of realisms the animators created. If that wasn't enough to sway you, just take a look at these beautiful shots of Eve and Wally dancing together in the vacuum of space. It's such an amazing scene. As our two lovers do, another budding romance began to blossom. This side story between these two characters wasn't completely necessary, but it was a perfect way of showcasing just how much humanity's been missing out on. Also, something else that came to my attention, and just hear me out, how are babies made? Like for real, if these people are so detached to the point where they didn't even know the ship they've been living on their whole life had a pool, I'm almost certain no cheeks are being clapped. They can't even stand up, so you can't realistically expect me to believe that they're physically able to smash. Just some food for thought. I didn't mean to ruin anybody's childhood. Once Eve and Wally finish and return to the ship with the plant, it's at this point where we're coming to the resolution. Eve has the plant, she and Wally has found love. If you thought in any way as I did as a kid, you probably don't remember how cruel the ending of this movie actually was. I mean, yeah, we still get our happy ho 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 ending, but just follow me, let me give you guys some context. When Wally and Eve find a way back to the ship deck and hands the plant to the captain, he's so excited to see how Earth really is, he displays Eve's memories, and to his disappointment, it was nothing like how he imagined. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. It's this part where Eve is watching her memories from the time she was offline, and her seeing every sweet thing Wally has done for her. It's at this moment she understands Wally's feelings and the lengths he's going to make sure that she's taken care of. Here's where I believe Eve finally understands the true feeling of love. I also want to note Eve learning how to hold hands at the same time while he was practicing the acts for himself. It's just too adorable. Once figuring out where humanity went wrong, the captain decided it's time to return home. It was because Earth had no one to take care of it, which is the reason it's become this abandoned wasteland. Okay, do you remember that company By and Large? I talked about them in the beginning of the video. It turns out the reason Otto is so adamant on destroying the plant is because he's just following orders. Instead of finding another solution to Earth's problems, they completely abandoned the plan to clean up the Earth and decided it was best, or in his words, easier, just to stay in space. I wonder if this was a way of showing the starting point of humanity's laziness, well, at least on this global level. For 700 years they have done nothing but sit on their ass with no regard for the Earth's health, but on top of that decided to cut their losses and desert the planet they themselves destroyed. That's fucked up. And by keeping all this a secret from the public was an incredibly selfish move, and shows the company's corruption to the point that they care more about their reputation than revealing the truth to these people. This isn't just some product that you can lie about and sell more of. This was everyone's home, and the blatant disregard for anyone else is almost laughable. The captain finally opened his eyes to the truth, and this little speech he gives was perfect.
Otto, things have changed. We've got to go back.
Sir, orders are, do not return to Earth.
But life is sustainable now. Look at this plant. Green and growing. It's living proof he was wrong. Out there is our home. Home, Otto, and it's in trouble. I can't just sit here and do nothing. That's all I've ever done. That's all anyone on this blasted ship has ever done. Nothing. I don't want to survive. I want to live!
He identifies the problem and instead of shifting the blame, owns up to the mistakes that they've made. If a previous captain realized this sooner, we could be looking at an entirely different story. Though what the captain was saying was true, Otto still does not break from his programming and continues to pursue the plan. Almost winning and getting his way, Otto sends the plant through the trash chute. But yet again, our hero shows up in the nick of time. Only this time his luck has run out and Otto's showing just how ruthless he can be. Without hesitation, completely fries Wally's circus as a helpless Eve watches as her friend she grew to love is sent down down to what could very well be his demise. Otto then shuts her off and then sends her along with Wally. Now here's where things begin to get dark. With the power of movie logic dipped in extra convenience sauce with a side of bullshit, Eve is magically rebooted by what looks to be a mice. I see what they did there. Mice plus robot equals a computer mice. You get it? Moving on, the last 20 minutes of this movie really hits you right in the feels. Eve is in a race against time to save Wally. It would seem like all hope's been lost. She turns over every rock looking for a new circuit board to no avail. Remember Eve cursing out of frustration earlier? Well, she does it again. Okay, in this case, I guess she gets a break, but still, it's a kid's movie, so I think it'll go over their head anyways. Wally, barely even able to move, still doesn't let that stop him from making a new friend. This is why I believe Wally is one of the most iconic and loved characters Pixar has ever created. His drive and energy he brings to every scene is truly unmatched. Take his relationship with Eve, for example. Eve was a one-dimensional robot with a one-track mind. Her only concern was the plant and fulfilling her purpose. After meeting Wally, I don't even think she can be considered the same character anymore. At this point in the movie, Eve has developed free will and feelings. She willingly tossed the plant aside and decided her feelings with Wally are more important. But man, come on, we knew Wally wasn't going for that. After he straight up curves Eve when she tries to hold his hand, he then grabs the plant. Doing this, he gives Eve the idea to still return the plant anyways, because if she does, that means he would be able to go back to Earth where his spare circuit boards are. Still fugitives, Eve and Wally race to the holodeck, but not without recruiting some old friends along the way. All while this is going on, the captain and Otto are still having at it. Eventually, the captain musters enough strength to take a stand and shut Otto off, but not before Wally suffers fatal damage trying to hold the holodeck up. The battle may have been won, but nobody's celebrating. Before we move on, let's take a minute to talk about Otto. It took me a while to figure out why he is that way. I kept thinking, how could so many other robots change, but not him? Then it hit me. Unlike Wally, Otto hasn't had time to think for himself. I mean, sure, he has free will to a certain degree, but even if his choices are his own, at the end of the day, he's only making those specific decisions to fulfill his orders. And if you recall, was to deny any return to Earth. Kinda makes you feel bad for him, then you remember he tried to kill Wally and you hate him all over again. After all the fighting is over, the captain hyper jumps back to Earth. Do you guys remember Wally's roach and how I said I love the small details about this movie? Since the beginning, when Wally told his little roach friend to sit there and wait, he did exactly that and did not move from that spot. I just thought that was a little cool thing they added in, and props to them for actually remembering to follow up with it. So back to the ship. Once they actually touch down, Eve wastes literally no time flying Wally home to get him repaired. You can see her desperation as she's collecting all the parts and simultaneously repairing him. Wally does reboot, but to Eve's disappointment, he doesn't remember her. I don't know about everybody else, but I was mad seeing this as a kid. You gotta realize, I didn't know anything about robots and how they work. Shit, I still don't. But at least now it makes sense why he doesn't remember her. His memory was basically replaced. But because they did such a great job conveying real human emotions with these robots, this was just as real as any other movie with human characters I would have watched, if that makes sense. As you all should know by now, he ends up remembering her, but damn, he let her know in like the smoothest way possible. As she's about to give up and walk away, Wally's like, nah, where you going? Girl, you know I love you. You know I like how your robot parts be moving, Show me a little something, a little something. Trying to get in on some of that metal action. AK2, I got a question. If I was a robot, would I pull robot girls? I honestly think I will, but I don't know, what I'm saying? Everybody's a little different, they might not be feeling me. Shit, who am I kidding? I'm irresistible.
Well, sir, would you still like my answer?
Sure, go ahead, confirm what I already know.
Honestly, my liege, I don't think you would.
Exactly my thoughts. You can never let me down. Wait, what? Son of a bitch, I should crumble them up and put them in a damn volcano, let them ass melt. Anyways, after all that, they finally give us the kiss that we've been waiting for. And as the movie ends, we get to see the little progress that they've been making. Overall, I have to say this movie stands the test of time and is without a question one of my favorite childhood films. I'm not saying it's perfect, and if you watch CinemaSins, then you know every movie has its share of problems. For example, you're telling me no captain in 700 years didn't attempt to switch autopilot off? Like, really? Don't get me started on a plant retrieval. If the president ordered no return to the Earth, then why were Eve robots still being sent out to find life? That one makes literally no sense. What about the situation with Wally? You mean to tell me that Eve bots were constantly being sent to Earth, yet Wally has never seen any of the shuttles dramatically landing? No way. To be fair, I am nitpicking, but if I'm being honest, nitpicking is the only way that you can find something wrong with this movie, which isn't bad. It's actually great. I wish more movie creators took pointers from Wally. A movie doesn't need to have a $500 million budget for it to be good. Just have a solid story, lovable characters, and just give a shit about your movie. finally done. I think that about wraps it up for me, man. Sorry if I taught your ears off more than I should have, but I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. I mean, you're gonna be inside anyways, you know, with the quarantine, so you might as well at least join the kingdom. I'll be having some more content coming shortly. Please just be patient with me. I'll be keeping you all updated. Leave any suggestions for future videos below. It has been your king. Until next time, later.